intellectual property, as it were. That's a joke, by the way. I'm not offended by anyone, so don't think I'm actually serious. But Tom, you boys, again, controlled large parts of the game. You won. It wasn't overly spectacular. You passed the big test that a lot of people thought you might fail. Big day for Liverpool.
Massive. I eagerly await within the next 2 days when people start telling me, well, Chelsea's not actually that big a test. Wait till you play Arsenal next or whatever, like they seem to do every time we pass a test. No, really good. We saw a different side. A lot of people expected us to go there and try and suffocate Chelsea and pin them in at Anfield, and I saw a very mature performance from us. First 15 minutes, we weren't really getting much joy in the way that we started, and then Slot made a couple of changes, especially in how we were building up from the back, and we didn't really. I know Chelsea scored, but outside of the goal, I never felt threatened. I didn't feel like we were under large amount of pressure. I never felt like the goal was coming for them. I trusted us at the back, and then moments of individual brilliance, which big teams have. That's why you pay the big money for these world-class players. Mohamed Salah, once again, in a top 6 game, steps up and wins the game for us. And defensively, Trent Alexander-Arnold, faultless, absolutely brilliant against every winger or every forward that got put up against him, from Sancho to Neto to Nkunku. None of them could get past him. And Curtis Jones, obviously everyone wanted McAllister to start. Curtis Jones stepped in because he wasn't 100% fit. Done an absolutely brilliant job against Cole Palmer. Gave him pretty much not an all game, and then goes and scores the winner. So there's not much more you could ask from a defensive midfielder than that, But massive credit to Slot. Obviously, real big test. Chelsea are a good team, unlike what Hassan was making out before the game. Chelsea have shown promising signs this season, and they were always going to be a bit of a worry if we'd set up in a certain way. If we'd tried to go at them, high pressure, 100% intensity, Chelsea would have got us on the break and in transition, and Slot gave them no opportunities in transition. And that for me is the big thing. He'd figured out their strengths and nullified them. In the same way Chelsea, I felt, tried to nullify us on the transition, but I still think starting Malo Gusto at left back was the worst mistake you could make, because whenever he was going into midfield, Salah was just standing out wide, waiting to win 1v1s against whoever was going up against him, and that was our outball. And another thing that Slot noticed and used. So Slot, I think, nailed that game tactically. The individual players stepped up big time and made sure that the changes and the system worked to perfection. And we leave the first big test of the season with 3 massive points going into what will be, I give it 4 days' time, the first big test of the season, when we have to go away to the Emirates, because this Chelsea game will be retrospectively adjusted. So I've got no complaints. Another win, top the league.
It's certainly, yeah. Listen, you're always going to get that people kind of, and I saw a few tweets from Arsenal fans yesterday. I did get them. It was what phase is Slot in and all of this, and I laugh because some of it's funny, but it's also, I'm still shocked that people are surprised. Slot is a very good head coach, but I don't know how many years I've been talking about this. This was never a rebuild of the entire club. A rebuild is, I think we've got to a point now we know what a rebuild is. Rebuilding the squad, rebuilding the youth system, rebuilding a stadium, getting rid of the board, getting rid of the scouts, changing your transfer policies, restructuring your wage. That's a restructure. Arsenal started doing that 5 years ago. City started doing it in 2009, 2010. FFG started this over a decade ago. I am not surprised to see this group of Liverpool players looking so good. The only way it was going to go wrong is if Slot wasn't a good enough head coach. Next season might be a different situation if Van Dijk and Trent and Salah leave, although good news today, I think Van Dijk has said that they're kind of looking at new deals in that regard. But look, I thought Liverpool looked really controlled and really comfortable yesterday. But equally, I want to go to Will on this. I know you're kind of I wouldn't say a big fan of Chelsea right now, but a lot of Chelsea fans have said there's a lot of positives to take out of this game. You agree with that, don't you?
Yeah, I think the midfield, right? Like, that was a big positive, right? I remember before the season started, you guys all laughed at me when I said that I think that Chelsea have a top 3 midfield in the league. I remember I got clipped up. The chat was cooking me. It's okay. Chelsea, they have shown you that they are a very good
actually
team.
said they're better than Arsenal's midfield. That's what
they are. But to me, Chelsea, again, as I said, they have a very good team. And I think the problem that we saw yesterday was more so the inexperience with Levi Colwill. I don't really think that Liverpool did anything to necessarily deserve the win. I think how the game played out, I think a draw would have been a more so fair result. But, the inexperience from Levi Colwill, he made that mistake. But I think that we have to give Liverpool a lot of credit defensively because Chelsea's attack didn't really do anything. Cole Palmer was out there doing nothing. Sancho, you could say maybe he should have got that penalty call. But all in all, I think Trent did a really good job with him. But, yeah, for me, I think the game was pretty much even, really. I don't really think that anybody did anything better than the other per se. It's just, they capitalized on Levi Colwill's bozo moment, and then they got the penalty, and then, Salah got the assist for Curtis Jones. But, overall, I think if you're a Chelsea fan, there are a lot of positives that you could take away from this game, like Romeo Lavia. I think Caicedo is also good as well. But, yeah, just the attack. Until I'd say Pedro Neto came on because he got subbed on for Sancho to start the second half. I think Neto was causing a lot of problems on that left wing, but just wasn't clinical enough. So for me, I think a draw would have been a more so fair result. But, got to give credit to Liverpool defensively. And, yeah, for me, this was the first big game that they've had all season. I don't consider Manchester United a real test, no offense. But Chelsea, a team that I do rate, I thought this was a big test. And, they passed it. So good W for them.
We are going to talk Cole Palmer because obviously he's getting a lot of stick. But I wanted to ask David about Jadon Sancho because I saw a stat that went out and he literally completed no dribbles. Everything was zeros. The media today is going in at him. And I know Trent did a very good job against him. Could have had a penalty, which we have spoken about. I mean, and maybe should have got a penalty. And maybe that would have changed everybody's perspective on how good he was. But I did feel that he was causing Trent problems. And just because he hadn't got the better of him yet, I didn't necessarily agree with taking him off because I've seen many a game like this in Premier League history where a fullback and a winger are really having a good run. You look at the other way around. Noni Madueke in the first 20, 30 minutes was cooking Robertson, but then got progressively worse as Robinson got better throughout the course of the game. And I just thought that maybe taking off Jadon Sancho was a little bit premature. Maybe give him a little bit more time. Maybe Liverpool open up a bit more space for him. Or do you think it was a right call to take take Sancho off?
I'm in two minds about this because I felt like Sancho could have done a bit more, and I feel like he was building up to it. But Pedro Neto came on and probably did more than Sancho would have done anyway. If I'm going to be honest, looking at how the game planned out, Neto came on and was a threat. He was dribbling past everyone, and he was about half an inch away from delivering the perfect ball to Nkunku at the back post, which made it 2-2. So I think Neto's almost played himself into a starting position, which is what's going to happen a lot with the Chelsea squad. You're going to have someone drop one bad game, maybe two bad games, and then someone's going to come in for them, and they're going to set off like a rocket, and then they'll have the exact same thing. Because again, our squad's incredibly young, and these young players will have periods of being really good, and then when they drop off, we're going to have someone come in and fill that position. But I mean, either one of them is still fantastic wingers. So I don't think the good thing about it is that there's not a significant drop off from person A to person B. That's the good thing about it. So I don't think it dramatically changed the result of the game.
Do you not think though he should have? Because I don't think Neto did that much in the first 10 minutes of the second half. Do you not give Sancho the first 10 minutes? Because he's a confidence player, right? Getting hooked up at half time is probably not going to do him much confidence. Whereas Neto didn't do anything for the first 10 minutes and then kind of grew into the second half. I know hindsight's a wonderful thing, but maybe keep him on for the first 10 minutes because I think it's a lot easier for him to be subbed off around the 60th minute mark than to be hooked at half time. Obviously, doesn't help Sancho is obviously Neto comes on and causes problems. But
Henry, are we still pretending that Sancho can cope in this league, bro?
I like Sancho. I think he's a good player. I'd say
Sancho's a very good player.
I'm gonna say he's gonna have less GA than Sterling by the end of the season.
Nah. Well, I mean,
Sancho's
but
already got 4.
I mean, he might do, but like it stops there. But he's a moment player. If that's the only metric we can go by, then fair. But considering I had Sterling last year, I've got Sancho this year. I'd much rather have Sancho in the current system we're playing than I'd have Sterling.
Yeah, I mean, and Sancho fits that Chelsea system perfectly. I mean, why is it that you think he can't play in that league? Because Sancho would start for Arsenal.
And you're up against probably the best right back in the league at the moment.
Yeah, but I
I
also
guarantee
think
at the end of the season, people will say different things about Sancho, but we'll let it play out.
I think that he's in the
Can-
perfect system for him to
can-
flourish. I think Sancho is a really good player. I think just Chelsea just have a lot of options right now. So if one player is not having a good game, then you could take him off because then you have a Pedro Neto on the bench, or you guys João Felix or Nkunku who can come on. So Maresca doesn't necessarily have to just wait. I guess I hear what you're saying in terms of maybe you could have let him play maybe another 15 minutes and then you sub him off. But I think like the Sancho kind of like downplaying is kind of crazy. I think he's a very good player, and I think he fits what Maresca wants.
Why is it crazy? Why is it crazy, Will?
Because he's a very good player. I think that you're just looking at
he's a really good Bundesliga player. He can't do it in the Prem. He's a good
but why
Bundesliga
not though?
player.
Because he played well for Chelsea. His first
Until
3
he
games
proves
for them.
me otherwise for a
Right.
sustained period of time, then I can't think otherwise. He
So the
had
3-game run that he had to start,
he
was
had
it good?
moments for Man U as well, bro. Like, what did he
Yeah,
end
but
up
Manchester
doing?
United were playing a bad style of football. He's now in a possession-based team where he's going to be able to get on the ball, link play, get his teammates involved. Like that's what Sancho, like that's where he's good at. At Manchester United, it was kick and run. So I think he is going to succeed at Chelsea.
Many wingers, bro.
Why
He doesn't
fuck
lock
me?
up many
What?
wingers.
Right.
That's going to be a bargain deal. Come
hold
next
on.
summer when they sign him permanently for what 20 million. That's going to be a
25.
bargain, or 23, however much it is. I'm telling you.
Trent's been fine. Actually, one of the best defensive right backs in the league this season. I've had
Yeah,
plenty
but
of games
look,
in the past where he's managed to lock up
Tom,
wingers.
I'm not debating. Trent's definitely come on like defensively, but the way he shut down Sancho, like that's not normal for Trent.
I've seen him do it
That's normal for Trent.
I've seen him do it. But
So-
I've seen him do it to Sane. I've seen him do it to just last season. One of the best dribblers in the league in Matoma. He can handle really good wingers. The problem with Trent defensively was we kept dragging him out of position and then having to make him run all the way back into position, and wingers were capitalised.
This is a Sancho thing. Don't make this.
No, but your argument was Sancho couldn't do it against Trent.
That wasn't my argument. That was one of many arguments added on to Sancho. I just don't think Sancho is good enough to sustain it in the league. I think he'll have a couple of good moments at Chelsea, but by the end of the season, we'll say he's not the guy.
Yeah, I think what Kunle's saying is, look, his first 3 games I thought against Bournemouth, West Ham, and Brighton were pretty good.
Brighton, yeah.
So we can't come to a consensus on this. We have to wait till the end of the season on that. My view was just very much, I know Trent was getting the better of him, and maybe it's a modern day way of thinking, but I felt it was a battle where he was close to getting past him at times, and he was doing things, and I just felt give him a bit longer. And I always remember one amazing battle when he was young at Man United was always Ashley Cole versus Cristiano Ronaldo. Now, defensively, Cole is much better than Trent, and I would say that Ronaldo is better at attacking than Sancho, but I think that equals itself out. And I remember some of those games, and I watched it with my friends who are Arsenal fans, and they'd be cooking me at halftime. Cole has absolutely locked down Ronaldo. He ain't doing any. And there were games like that where literally the first 45, 50, 60 minutes, Cole stopped everything. But then Ronaldo did a step over, a jink, got past him, put him on his bum, put a cross in the box, and we score a goal. And I just sort of feel sometimes you've got to give a play, let the player keep fighting, let him keep. What I was impressed with Sancho yesterday, and this is what he didn't do at Man United, is he would foul on 2 or 3 attempts to beat a man and then stop. He just get the ball, recycle it. What I saw him doing for Chelsea yesterday is he got it and he was trying to make something work. And I get Neto came on and did well, but he is a confidence player, and I just feel that maybe it should have stuck with him a bit longer. The other player that's